Hello, my name is Melissa Treinkman. I'm on the voice faculty at Loyola Marymount University, and I have a private voice studio in Los Angeles, California. I want to thank PAVA for including me in this exciting symposium, and today I'm happy to share with you my research on focus of attention in voice training. The question of where performers should place their attention during learning and performance, known as focus of attention in the motor learning field, is a highly relevant yet possibly overlooked aspect of voice training. The past 2 decades have produced an enormous body of research in motor learning, mostly in the field of athletics, which seeks to determine the best focus of attention for optimal performance. In general, the vast majority of these studies, over 180 of them, have found that an external focus of attention, focusing on the effect of a movement, leads to more efficient skill development and superior performance compared to an internal focus of attention, focusing on the body movement itself. Accuracy in golf performance improved when golfers were instructed to focus externally on the movement of the club or on the trajectory of the ball, external focus, instead of on their arms or wrists, internal. Likewise, accurate throwing of balls, darts, and frisbees was enhanced with an external focus of attention. In two separate studies with ballet dancers and gymnasts, both disciplines which are centered around body movements and notably lack an implement, such as a club or a ball, an external focus was shown to improve performance and movement form. The attentional focus effect is often explained by the constrained action hypothesis, which posits that an internal focus of attention encourages a conscious type of control that inhibits the motor system, thereby hindering automaticity. External focus, in contrast, has been shown to promote automatic control processes that lead to more fluent and regular movements, which are associated with high level performance. In the world of singing, one example of external focus of attention would be inhale as if you were about to sneeze, compared to the internal focus of attention instruction, raise your soft palate. Recent research in music has pointed to positive effects of an external focus of attention. In a 2019 study with a variety of skilled musicians, Mornell and Wolf found that an external focus of attention generated improvements in musical expression and technical precision compared to an internal focus of attention. In 4 separate studies with singers, Atkins found that tone quality was enhanced in conditions where singers employed external foci. For example, directing the sound to the back of the hall would be external, compared to focusing on the position of the soft palate, internal. The question of where singers are most often instructed to place their attention while singing has never been formally studied. Studies with track and field athletes, distance runners, wrestlers, and baseball pitchers support the speculation that the majority of instructions delivered by athletic coaches is directed toward body movements and therefore induces an internal focus of attention. A survey study with professional classical ballet dancers found that 72.2% of the time, these dancers utilized internal focus at least partially. From these studies, it appears that internal focus is used much of the time in real world training and performance situations, despite the considerable body of literature supporting the benefits of external focus to performance and learning. There are no studies which examine and categorize instructions that singers receive in voice lessons. The present study attempts to determine if the high incidence of internal focus of attention instruction found in other disciplines is replicated in voice training. Participants were 278 singers who were at least 18 years old and taking voice lessons. 78.8% of participants were between the ages of 18 and 44. 93.9% reported studying voice for 4 years or more. The vast majority, 94.6%, reported taking lessons in classical voice or opera. Singers were recruited via email and social media posts to participate in an anonymous research survey entitled Instructions Given to Singers in Voice Lessons. Participants were blind to the express purpose of the survey, which was to analyze the use of focus of attention directives in the voice studio. The main 6 questions asked singers to write phrases or instructions that their studio voice teachers gave them in regard to posture, breathing and or support, tone clarity and or onset of tone, space and or resonance, articulation, and reducing tension. These short answer questions purposely did not contain any specific reference to the body or body parts and were designed to be vague to prevent any unintentional bias on the part of the investigator. The final question of the survey asked singers to report whether what they focused on during lessons changed during performance and to provide an explanation. 3,242 separate short answer responses from the main 6 questions were rated by 2 singers, myself and a professional singer and voice teacher with a Master of Music degree. These were separated into 4 categories. If the body or specific body parts were clearly referenced, for example, feel expansion in the ribs, the raters coded the response as internal focus. If the body was not mentioned and the result of the body movement was the focus, often in the form of an image, for example, sing through the keyhole, the response was categorized as external focus. Sometimes both an internal and external focus were referenced in a single response. For example, like you fell asleep in the recliner, relax the jaw. And in these cases, the raters classified the response as combination. Images and analogies are generally considered external focus in the attentional focus literature, but if they contain specific body reference, they were coded as combination in this study. For example, my head is a concert hall. I have to fill all the spaces. Responses that did not contain a directive or were not relevant to the subject of attentional focus, for example, support doesn't mean anything, were coded as miscellaneous. The 2 raters independently categorized the responses. The percent agreement between the raters averaged 95.23% for the 6 question items, with an average kappa statistic of 0.91. The results are displayed here and show that 50.83% of the instruction singers received during voice lessons induced an external focus, 39.42% induced an internal focus, 6.48% used a combination of both internal and external focus, and 3.27 were categorized as miscellaneous. This table shows representative responses in the 3 main categories. I will go through a couple examples, but feel free to pause the recording if you'd like to read the table in more detail. In the posture category, for internal focus, sternum high. Combination, chest should be open and expanded. Think wonder bra. External focus, noble posture. In the breath and support category, internal, breathe into your back. Combination, breathe low, fill the bottom of the lungs first. External, fill the pitcher. For the tone clarity and onset category, internal, make sure your cords are achieving full closure. Combination, feeling wideness in the neck upon inhalation and acting as if I were going to fog up a mirror. External, sigh into onset. In space and resonance, internal, jaw releases down and back. Combination, drop your jaw and think of a yawning sound. External, look of dumb expression. In the articulation category, internal, use lips and tongue, not jaw to articulate. Combination, don't chew the words, less jaw, more lips. External, sing as if the vowels are the clothesline and the consonants are the clothespins. In the reducing tension category, internal focus, relaxed jaw. Combination, the jaw should be Novocaine jaw, completely relaxed and slightly back in its neutral position. External, let yourself feel like jello. This chart shows the breakdown of attentional focus by instructional category. The results revealed that certain topics in voice training may be predisposed to different types of attentional focus. Directives concerning posture, space and resonance, and reduction of tension contained the highest percentage of internal focus instructions, shown here in red. Other types of technical directives, such as those concerned with breathing and support, tone clarity and onset of tone, and articulation, used more external focus of attention, shown in blue. The final short answer of the survey asked singers if what they focused on changed between voice lessons and performance. 77.4% of singers reported that their focus did change in performance, and most elaborated to say that they were less focused on their vocal technique and more focused on the drama or expression of the music. 13% of participants said their focus did not change in performance, and 9.6% reported their focus changed somewhat. According to the survey responses, instructions singers receive in voice lessons contain a wide variety of instructional techniques and reveal the immense amount of creativity utilized in the teaching and learning of singing. Singing is both a body-oriented endeavor in which the body is the instrument, as well as a skill in which much of what is happening to create the sound is invisible to the performer and listener. Therefore, it's understandable that the results showed that voice teachers use a mix of external and internal focus directives, displaying somewhat of a preference for external. One interesting finding of this study is that the choice of instruction may be task dependent, and certain topics may lend themselves to a higher amount of external focus instruction, especially tone clarity or onset and articulation. Unsurprisingly, there are other topics which lend themselves more naturally to teachers making direct reference to the body, given their nature. The topics of posture and reducing tension had the most internal focus responses. With regard to the final short answer question of the survey, the overwhelming majority of singers, 77.4%, reported that their focus changes in a performance. Most singers reported less focus or no focus on vocal technique during performance. And while this is the goal for most singers, under pressure, it may be difficult for many singers to completely forget about the technical directives they received while learning. And thus, the nature of instruction during learning is arguably quite important. The theory of reinvestment states that performers experiencing anxiety often revert to an earlier learning stage that included conscious processing and explicit rule based directives as a way to control movement. It's therefore important for teachers to be mindful about what instructions they give singers during voice lessons, because those instructions might be called up by the singer as a way to deal with performance stress, even long after the skill is well learned. Teachers may want to assess their own teaching from the perspective of attentional focus as a potential factor in equipping students to be more or less resistant to the often deleterious effects of pressure. While I would never presume to tell any teacher how they should teach, based on the body of attentional focus research, it is my opinion that teachers should aim for the instructions that are at the very top of a student's mind to be externally focused whenever possible to increase the chance of optimal performance. Results of this survey study, the first of its kind conducted with singers, suggest that singers are instructed using a mix of attentional focus directives in voice lessons. Given the preponderance of evidence supporting the use of external focus instruction in the attentional focus literature, it is noteworthy that voice teachers, who may or may not be aware of this literature, have gravitated toward using more external focus directives than several other athletic disciplines, in which a higher proportion of internal focus instruction has been reported. Due to the nature of singing as a body-centric activity, it's likely not practical nor appropriate to exclusively use external focus directives in the voice studio. In future studies, an investigation into whether or not certain aspects of vocal technique are better suited to different attentional foci is merited, given that in this study, the prevalence of certain foci seemed to be a function of type of skill. Within instructions that do center around the body specifically, this study made clear that there is a spectrum ranging from highly externally focused to highly internally focused. And these degrees of attentional focus could not be completely captured in the analysis of the data. Until more studies comparing the efficacy of varying attentional foci can be performed with singers, it is advisable for voice teachers to continue using a mix of attentional focus directives in voice training. For teachers wishing to experiment with more external focus instruction in the studio, creativity is key. And learning to translate internal focus instructions into external focus instructions is a skill as well as a habit. The sky is the limit, but I will give you a few parting thoughts. Using imagery is a great way to induce external focus. For example, cathedral space instead of open the throat. Props can also be useful because they draw focus to an external object. For example, having the student breathe into and sing while leaning into an exercise ball and focusing on the resistance of the ball. Caricature voices can be very fruitful. For example, Yogi Bear to induce a lower larynx. Using primal sounds and activities that we're wired to know how to do and don't really have to think about. For example, yawning, sneezing, or laughing. And relatedly, the power of acting and emotional engagement, both of which induce an external focus and can sometimes solve a myriad of technical issues. For the full paper and references associated with this presentation, please see the Journal of Voice online publication currently in press. Thank you so much for your attention today.